All right, we're back with you this Saturday morning, the show. So thanks for coming in and tuning in. So we're going to go ahead and read some comments and everything. And what we got for you this time is range bag. What is in my range bag when I get ready to go to the range, as we do every week? Me and a buddy of mine, we usually get together every week and we hit the range. So this is pretty much my kit, I guess you could say, that I have loaded out, and we'll go ahead and we'll go through that. And so stick around in the video and we'll go through that. So we got the letter opener here. Somebody had asked me about the letter opener, so we'll talk about that. All right, but we're going to go ahead and read your comments here, okay? So again, I'm trying to like kind of go through and like read the names correctly because of the way things got labeled now. Your names are not exactly clear. So I'm going to guess this one is from Stephen K, because I know you've commented many times here. But your name, like I said, they're doing some weird things with the name. So, all right, for me, Saturday morning means coffee and a radio show, talking guns and other cool stuff. Keep up the great content. Keep the great content coming. We appreciate that, and that's why we're doing it. We always try to keep the content interesting for you, and every week, we're doing the Saturday show. So, and we do it for you. So, and again, we touched on a little bit why we're changing kind of the titles a little bit. Sometimes there'll be a title, but then there'll be a lot of times where there's not a title, where it'll just be episode whatever, and that string of numbers is really just the date of the show that it's being aired for you folks right here. All right, Snowy Rider, congratulations on your new Hackathorn special. I had to wait 14 months for my Hackathorn Commander, went two-tone with mine in 9mm 38 Super Combo. The Hackathorn special is no longer offered by Wilson now. I have trained with Ken twice and Larry Vickers once. Love the Wilsons and Ed Browns. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. I'm going to talk about a little bit of that. That's a heck of a wait to go through with Wilson and everything. I have a little confession to make. I've had mine for quite some time. I just have not actually brought it to the show or brought it on video. Actually, we do have some videos that we've done with it on tabletop and going over some stuff. This is my usual style of doing both the Wilson 1911s that we did. We have one that's a kind of a more of a drawn out longer length video, and the other one's a straight meat and potatoes kind of a deal. And we're hopefully working on that to get out to the main channel here. Hopefully sometime in September. That's when we're hoping to get it to you guys, so keep an eye out for that. All right, Danger Man, I really like how you ended your program this week. The message really resonated with me. I had to put my mother in memory care as part of the process, so was clearing out her house to get ready for sale. Bottom line was I ended up getting rid of the house full of stuff no one wanted. Naturally, you begin to question your own life. And I started to think about my collection of firearms. No one will really appreciate my collection as much as I do. I decided that I don't really care because my collection defines who I am. When I'm gone, is it really going to matter to someone else? Rather, I spend a chunk of change on a collector revolver. Life is full of broken dreams and heartbreaks. My collection has always brought me joy. So if that is the case, I might as well get the most joy out of life that I can. If I like it and I want it, I'm going to buy it and make it mine. Simple as that. Yes, absolutely. And that's what I've always said. And I've gotten slack before for spending $4,000 on a 1911 or something like that. Hey, look, the only person that value means anything to is the person that is spending the money. Yourself, me. I don't care what somebody else thinks about Wilson Combat or whatever. Yeah, do I like that company? Hell yeah, I do. Do I think they make quality stuff? Yeah, I do. But the only person I need to convince of that is myself. I mean, and that's the most important. I say this too. If it brings you joy or whatever in life, I don't care if it's collecting guns, shooting guns, whatever it is, run, don't walk, I mean, that's it. Because to me, that money you spend, if it makes you that much happier, like my Wilsons make me that much happier, then you know what? That's money well spent, because that is so very true. Because life, unfortunately, life is full of disappointment, heartaches, tumultuous situations, and things that we just cannot control a lot of times. So happiness is a very important thing, and so is laughter. Try to make it a point to laugh and live every day. It's kind of why, like, I'm really happy with what I do now as an occupation. I love the fact I can go to work and laugh and kid around with my coworkers and stuff. That's important, because if you're going to work and you're miserable and you just hate doing what you're doing, you need to change that. I mean, I get it. Sometimes, there's situations where the money or whatever keeps us there, but a good friend of mine told me this one time. He says, the stress will kill you. Keep that in mind. All right, Slim Fire. Now that we got off the soapbox, right? Great radio talk, and I agree with you on what you had to say today. I think if you save up and wait for something you really appreciate, you will really appreciate it more when you pay it off and get it in your hands. Thanks, Slim. Yes, when you go for quality and you make sacrifices and say, you know what, I'm going to do what it takes to get that, the reward is so much sweeter. It really is. You truly get something you really, really wanted, instead of just compromising and just saying, I'll take that instead. Sometimes it's better just to get what you really want. All right, Sean Lee, good morning and congrats on your new Wilson Combat. I got to say, I really like those grips, those ivory grips, real or synthetic. Look really good on 1911. I agree. I'm a big ivory style, grips on 1911s, and of course my revolvers as well. But mostly nowadays that I mostly kind of shoot 1911. I do like that ivory look. I really do. And what benefited me was be able to kind of make my own, rather because of running broke trying to get some other ones. But it also allowed me to customize stuff that probably doesn't really exist in a sense, so I could have created my own. All right, Joe Bowers, thanks for answering my EMP questions. The 3-inch is a great looking little carry gun, but I think I will pass on it for now. I will look into the Colt Defender that you mentioned. Well, I appreciate that, and anytime we try to answer some questions for you, that's just, I don't know. I'm not trying to knock the Springfield EMP. Springfield Armory is one of my favorite 1911 companies, but I don't have much experience with their smaller stuff. I did really want one of the range officers, the little compact one that they had. I forget what they called it, but in 9mm. But I just couldn't find one, and I wasn't interested in, again, the magazine thing is a real killer for me. Because and I'll show you, I've invested so much in this one type of magazine that I really don't want to deviate from that. All right, so Mike here, speaking of classic Colts and classic movies, have you ever had the opportunity to shoot or own a Colt 1903 or 1908 pocket hammerless, featured in many classic movies from Key Largo to Patton? Thanks for the great videos. I have checked those out. When I had my shop in Hawaii, I did have a chance to handle one. Really neat little gun. I like how sleek and just real, compact and just James Bond-ish, PPK-ish it is, but even more slicked down than the PPK. Although I don't recall if I've ever fired one. But Key Largo is one of my favorite films, and yes, you do see those all the time in those movies. That's just kind of one of those that's been on to just in the inventory up here, really, that if I ever saw one or had an opportunity to obtain one for a decent price, I might probably go for it. I'm kind of more looking at stuff these days of if it's gonna be something I'm gonna enjoy at the range, take it to the range a lot, and what it's gonna cost to do that, to actually feed that with ammo to do it. So. But I have definitely given those a thought. Tony, awesome video. You hit the head. You hit the nail on the head. Don't worry about what anyone else thinks. Absolutely, that's right. I didn't do it to impress you or somebody else. I did it to impress myself. 45 ACP. Happy Saturday. I took my 1911 to the range last weekend. I had a good time. Just sending some lead downrange. Yes, absolutely. Anytime you can send some lead down there into the backstop or whatever, it's a good day. Absolutely. Crazy Scotsman? Hey, the Crazy Scotsman. All right, not a fan of ambi safeties either. I can shoot with both hands. I think it's a necessary skill. Sorry, I have missed the last couple of shows. That's all right. As far as comments, I have always watched a full video. I've always watched a full video. Neat books from the man, Bill Wilson. I have shot multiple Wilson combats and well worth what you pay. I agree too. I mean, you know, a lot of people have asked me that. Well, do you think the Wilson's worth it or whatever? My opinion on that, yeah, Wilson's combats are worth every damn penny. They're one of the finest 1911s I've gotten to shoot, own, and it does, I will admit, it does kind of spoil you a little bit because it shoots so amazing, and the fit and finish, and just when you look at it, and there is a certain pride of ownership of that when you can see what you know, owning something like that, handcrafted and everything, really takes things to a whole nother level. All right, Joe P. Swig of coffee for Joe. Wow, talk about burying the lead. The new Wilson Combat is fantastic. Congrats. Now I understand the title of your recent video, my top 1911s that haven't been traded off yet. Yeah, and I mean, and that's unfortunate. Things that I do, I end up trading off so much stuff or selling off so much stuff. But it, you know, I gotta admit, it's getting down to the point where it's getting hard because I mean, now it's like getting stuff I really like and enjoy. But you know, trying to find avenues in life to try to say, well, let me try to do things and move things around so I don't have to get rid of stuff that I really enjoy. Layaway is a wonderful thing. Credit cards, because they can also bury you at the same time, so you got to be careful. But there's ways and avenues you can move things around and make them work for you. All right. Jeffrey Richardson, good coffee morning, brothers, everybody. Jeffrey Richardson is saying good morning to us all here at the radio, the Collectors Radio, that we always love to tune in and share things with one another. And also feel free to ask questions or whatnot. We can answer them. I want this to be part of you as well. You guys are what makes this show. Never forget that. It's all about you. All right, Lion Quest Fitness. I don't like ambi safeties on pistols, 1911s or otherwise. I still shoot left-handed, but I use my index finger to disengage a safety as I draw. I've learned a lot to do that. I know exactly what you're talking about as a fellow lefty. Using the index finger is a lot. That's why there's certain pistols and certain brands that I'm not a fan of, because it seems like they just don't fit my way I shoot and operate. You know, magazine releases, slide releases, etc. Jeffrey Richardson had a response to that. Interesting, adapt, and overcome. All right. Shane, help. I purchased a new pistol. I went to tap the sights over the center. It scratched the enamel paint on the sight. What do I do? I have been pretty bummed out about it. Any way to touch it up, or should I let it be? I also agree with you on the funnel cone. Some of those bushingless 1911s are not very attractive to me either. Yeah, and I mean, and what I'm talking about is literally, I mean, there's some, I don't really want to name brands, but there's some where the barrel is like streamlined, and then it just like looks like a giant cone on the front. It's like, whoa. But my response to Shane, and if anybody else wants to chime in on this too, because I was trying to think about what he could do to help his problem. My first thought was Brownell sells a thing called aluminide. And depending on what the color is on your sights, the aluminide is really good. Like, it's extremely durable. I mean, from what I understand is if you put that stuff on, also remember to do a lot of the prep work, do it right, degrease things, especially when you're doing anything like that, degrease it. And I heard directly from, and one of my favorite things, I don't watch a whole lot of firearm stuff, but I did watch the Steve and Caleb from Brownells. Those guys are awesome. I do watch their program. they talk about that thing taking like 7 days to cure. So keep that in mind, Shane, there, if you're going to use that. But that would be my guess, to try to source some kind of high-end Duracoat or Armalite or Armahide or Aluminahide. I'm sorry, bleh. Any one of those higher-end things. Maybe you could spray it into like a cup or a cap and then brush it on. Hopefully you have not, you're watching this before you've done anything, but I do a ton of research before I did anything. I also did hear you got to shake those cans like the dickens. I mean, you got to really go overboard, because I've heard way too many people say that if you don't, you're spraying out literally more hardener or curing agents than the actual whole mix. So do a lot of research on that. Brownells does have videos on that. I would look at the most recent ones that they did, but hopefully that helps you out. I did see your response that you got some on order, so but please do a ton of research on it before you do anything like that. I always do that. Do a ton of research. All right, Frank. Like a longer show, very real, you like the longer show, I say, and real and fun. Yes, very real and fun. That's what we try to do. Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be on a soapbox or tell somebody how to run their life, but I do like to be real at the same time. You just say it outright, and that's the way it is. Have fun, because, and that's the thing too on the channel. From day one with the channel, starting it and doing all that from many years ago, but now having other people involved with the channel and everything. This is a place to have fun. This is a place to come in, tune into videos that I've done over the years, and forget about everything else. I want them to I want people to forget about other stuff. We are here to have fun. I don't take myself seriously. I don't take the stuff very seriously. I'm not into the whole tactical, like this way, I'm not into that. Oh, well, that's not technically what that's called. That is this, whatever. I'm like, no, the thingy-my-bobber thing right here that does that, and it's got the little checkering on the top of that, the nubbins thing. That's just me, because I'm not it. I mean, you know what? I mean, I don't take myself seriously. I'm not a gunsmith. I'm not a gun professional. I'm just an old guy, an old soul inside his younger body that likes a lot of old stuff, and just tended to just kind of get hooked on a lot of stuff because of old movies I watched as a kid growing up, renting too many VHS tapes. But that's just who I am. I'm not, not going to sugarcoat something or whatever, or make believe. But that's it. I mean, it's just not serious. I mean, some of these people, it's like, I'm not here to be an instructor. It's just not me. I'm not that obsessed with the gun stuff in the industry like that anymore. At one time, I would have really, dive into it, and I would have done a lot. It's just a hobby, and I take it as that. It's a hobby. I enjoy it. I support it. I love doing it. So don't get me wrong. I may be like what they call, I guess, a FUD, but at the same time, I do support somebody's ability to own, whatever it is that they want to own. If high capacity, scary black rifles is their thing, absolutely they should be able to, because they love their stuff as much as I like my old stuff. So, all right, Squib 1911. I changed it to 1911. YT signed a number, but it can be changed in the settings. Also, I was at a store this morning, and there was no Fruity Pebbles syrup. Maybe it was a limited time only kind of thing. It could definitely be. There's a lot of things that come around during seasonal things too that sometimes we don't get to see anymore. All right, so we have completed your comments, and we're going to go ahead and dive into the bag, the what's in my range bag kind of deal. I'm going to set this on the side because they're going to need some space. All right. Before we dive into the bag, here's the letter opener. This is a very older, very much older. I thought this one was marked, but I guess it's not. So this is an older Italian stiletto. It's got the horn, the black horn handles. I got this one in trade from an old shop that I go to every now and then. It's clear across it's about 2 hours away, so we don't go there often. But when we do, I always seem to walk out with a knife. I love these old switchblades because the film and all that. And of course, I used to live in a state where you couldn't have them. Now I live in a freer state that you can actually own these things. And I don't own them for intimidation or anything like that. I'm just an old movie fanatic, so I love them. And this is the flat grind blade, so you notice that it's really, you know, it's got that flat. It doesn't have that false bayonet blade style on the top, which I know I'm not a biggest fan of those. This is my favorite style right here. And this is a 11-inch, which I think is the most, popular size, if you will. The 13 is a little bit longer, which are cool. They're cool. They're a monstrous switchblade for sure. But the 11 is my favorite because it's got a 5-inch blade with a 6-inch handle. The 10s are pretty cool too. Once it starts getting down to, I think the 8 is a little too small. I think the smallest I got is a 9. But this is really just cool because it's just neat to have one of these and have them and everything. I don't mess with them a whole lot because you don't want to wear them out. A lot of these older ones like this, they do wear out over time. But this one here is a more of a higher end one. You can tell because it's got the brass liner inside and all that. It's got a good closure and good spring to it still. It's got a small minor crack right here, but I don't care. It's just that's it. But yeah, that's the letter opener. I do collect them. That's another thing I do have a major collection of. So if you want to see the collection of those sometime, let me know in the comments. We'll bring them out for one of the shows. I also do not store them closed. I always store them open like that. So, all right. What's in my range bag when I go to the range? So this is lately the loadout. First of all, okay, so what I use for a range bag is actually a tool bag from Harbor Freight. That's because I don't like going around with anything that just screams, that guy's got guns. So that's what I roll with. And I mean, I'm not a big fan of logos and advertisements and all that, so that's just what I got in there. All right, so what I roll out with, and that's the nice thing about the tool bag, is it's got all these pockets on the side, and of course I'm just rolling out with you know, all the 1911 mags that I can hold, that I can stuff in there. And of course, we've talked about this many times. When all my magazines for 1911s are Wilson Combat. That's just my opinion on it. I feel like they make the best, and that's what I'm going to stick with, and that's all I got. Pretty much all the other stuff, I just chucked it. No need to have it taking up space. Of course, except for, I stand corrected, my 22, that would be one of my first ones to bring out of the bag here. The 22, which is a Kimber top end. So obviously you got the Kimber polymer magazine there. But this is, I'm not saying that this is, I take this stuff to the range all at once. A lot of times I only take 1 or 2 things, but generally if I'm going to the range, these are the inventory that I'm taking. But sometimes, yes, I roll with all of them, and I'll take them all because in case I want to, test out some different things. But definitely for the 22, this is my, as you guys know, my Frankenstein gun. Really, it's a para-ordnance aluminum frame or lightweight frame with a Kimber conversion unit attached to it. This is just kind of the way I rolled with this one. It's aluminum. The reason I went with this because lightweight frame, polymer mainspring housing, Wilson Combat grip safety and hammer, and the internals is all kinds of other hodgepodge of stuff like that I sourced from other friends that got buckets of parts and stuff. Old 1911 guys and stuff. They're the best because I get to raid their stuff. But anyway, there it is. Of course, a two-tone gun. My favorite, you got the black slide gray frame, which is pretty much my choice of that. So there it is. That's my 22 blaster with my own custom grips on it. The ivory style stocks with some cuts I did in them, and just kind of doing a little bit of kind of work there with them, just making them different, I guess you could say. All right, next up here in this is recent acquisition. The most recent acquisition really, and what I've been having on there, and hopefully you guys seen the videos, is the high power. The Springfield SA35, we have definitely been enjoying taking this to the range and firing it. It's been a lot of fun. I'm going to actually take it back out. It's been holding up pretty good. Slide the frame still tight. I like it. It's been a really good shooter. And I kind of, I like the high power. I really do. For as far as a double stack 9mm kind of goes there. And speaking of 9mm, another one here would be the Springfield Armory. This is the lightweight Commander that I got. This is the Ronin that they have out. Of course, it may not look like the Ronin you see in the store or your Ronin. That's because I've done some pretty extensive modifications to mine. It's just a range blaster, so it's just that's it. But I like it because it is a lightweight frame. The alloy, aluminum frame, not going to sugarcoat that. It's aluminum. It's aluminum frame. I run shock buffs and all my stuff, so I can always tell because you can hear it where it's in there. But yes, I do run the shock buffs. I'm a fan of them. Some people like them, some people hate them, some people have had major problems with them. I have not. So I religiously run shock buffs and all my stuff here. So of course my Ronin, I've kind of gone over this before. Again, polymer mainspring housing. It's the reason why it's not arched like I actually prefer, but it's got the polymer mainspring housing. Of course the Wilson Combat bulletproof Commander retro hammer and everything. And of course the reason I went with polymer mainspring housing is sheer weight. I wanted that to be lightweight as possible on the bottom there. But yeah, the Commander variant is about as small as for me as I'm going right now in a 1911, because the thing about the Commander variant, the slide and barrel is slightly shorter, but the grip and the lower is entirely the same as the full-size government model. All right, and of course my own custom grips on that one as well. All right, and then 9mm. And that's kind of where I'm at with 1911s these days. I pretty much only shoot 9mm 1911s. I don't really shoot 45 at all, much of any. And of course, and a lot of that is to do with the magazines that Wilson Combat have made. This is such a key factor in my like for the 9mm 1911s is definitely the magazines. All right, another one here is the. I'll take this out every now and then. In fact, we just took it out recently too, and it was kind of like, wow, we kind of neglected it. Although I'm not much into the full size 1911 so much, at least in 9mm. But if I do shoot full size, I prefer it. I mean, if the full size in 45 auto, if I'm shooting 45 auto, the full size is the way to go, I think. But this one here is the T-Sauce replica of the World War II gun, really, and I got mine in 9mm. I've had it for a while. We actually recently brought this out to the range because, it really got feeling neglected in the safe. But boy, I tell you, when I was running this thing recently, our last trip, I even told my buddy, I said, man, I forgot how soft these are to shoot. All steel gun, in full size 9mm, and I just can't get enough of them. So definitely this is part of the rotation now, and that's what I mean about the range loadout. Really, you could always do these. You could almost do these range loadout things every month, because I think everybody's choices change. Mine has been pretty much the same for a while, but a lot of things change, and of course, some months down the road we could do this again. You might see an entirely different bag of stuff. But anyway, so far this is kind of what I'm rolling out with. All right, and then last but not least, in the, oh look, it's a Springfield Armory bag. But in it is not a Springfield Armory. It's the Hackathorn Special Wilson Combat Commander variant 9mm, all steel. With the custom ivory grips that I've done, the synthetic ivory grips. I don't do the real legit ivory. I didn't murder any elephants for their tusks. Don't do that. I don't like that. But I did the synthetics like that, and they do age like the real thing. They will turn yellow over time in use, but I like it. They're probably not the best for the grip and everything like that. But aesthetic wise, I like the way it looks, so that's where I'm going to keep it on there. But having the the 25 LPI or what is it, 30 LPI, I'm sorry, 30 LPI lines per inch checker on the front strap and the back strap, and then the 40 LPI here on the front of the or the bottom of the trigger guard helps with that, getting it locked in there. So it does help with the to compensate for the lack of texture, if you will, on the grips. But they are the Starburst style grips, so that'll work out pretty good. But definitely been liking this thing. It's been a true pleasure and joy to shoot, unlike any other. So, all right, now that we've got all that out of the way, a couple of the extra things I throw in there, a couple of the magazines here. This is the one for the Springfield SA-35. I should put that back in there before I lose it. But other things that I always make sure I load out with is I'll load out with oil. This one here happens to be some Remington remnant oil that is just in a regular bottle. This is the result of heading to the range and forgetting to pack this stuff in there and having to stop off at a shop real quick and pick some up. Because when you are a fan of 1911s like I am, this is hugely important for your 1911s. Make sure you oil them. They need to be lubed. Running them dry is a big no-no. The other thing I run there is grease. I put that on there on the rails mainly because it stays where you put it. This one here is the Ultima Lube by Wilson Combat. But I always have these two things in here. You can see the viscosity is of course this is really thin and this is a lot more thicker stuff. But that's what I run. I always have that in a bag because I tell you, you're out there, you're having fun and everything, and your stuff starts choking and puking on you. That's because it's bone dry. It's always a good thing to have this so you're not running into your vehicle, and especially if you're outdoors, which I'm not going to say how I know this, but running to your vehicle, grabbing the dipstick out of your oil, your engine, and using that stuff, so which can work in a pinch. I don't know how I know that. All right, but yeah, there it is. That's pretty much the loadout for me in the bag. That's everything that I kind of take out and go with. So that's lately what has been going with me to the range and what I've been shooting and enjoying, right? Having fun with. So anyway, hopefully you liked this week's episode. I've had a lot of fun as usual, and we're always answering your questions and talking. And always, please, your comments and your questions in the comment section is a big part of the show. So please make sure you feel free to chime in on there. Again, if your comment is not there or not getting read, it's either because you did it after the fact that we do the production on these. We do production on the show pretty early during the week to get it prepared and edited correctly and adjusted for you guys to make sure it's for you right there bright and early before we start burning daylight on Saturday morning. We have to do it that way in order to make sure the program remains consistency and timely schedule. So that being said, thanks for tuning in and thanks for commenting.